Well, guys, I've got to say congratulations on this track. Our listeners have been absolutely loving it, and we're being told it's one of the most infectious tracks of this year that we've been playing. So tell us a little bit about the history of this track.
I will do. Just 1 second. 1 second. I've just got off another call, and all right, okay, yes. Oh no, I mean that's an amazing compliment. Yeah, I mean, basically, I've been I've been working on productions with different producers, and we've completed 3 albums that are kind of more in a kind of dance kind of pop commercial feel. And my son, he's been working with me ever since he was like, a teenager with the music. And but as rebellious kids go, he's gone in kind of a different direction to me. And but I've noticed that he's got an amazing ear, and he's also benefited from jamming with me for years, and getting onto a top level. So David came to me with an idea for a backing track. So do you want to just tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was this song I had. It was all like mashed together. It was this song knocking around my head, and it just had to release it finally. And when we writing a song, a sort of fastish song, that was the next one to write, and then the rest of it just came on the day, and we just knocked it out pretty much in the day.
So is this the first time you two have actually collaborated on the one track together, or have you guys collaborated a lot over the years?
We've got about 3 albums.
Yeah.
We've got loads of stuff. But, I mean, Panic Button, that was initially a backing track, and David played me the idea of the back track. I thought it sounded amazing. And we basically I just got David to spin around each section, starting off with the verse, then the bridge and the chorus. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, the first thing is Gabor Dornier. He's one of the top 5 drummers in Britain, top drummer in Hungary, which is where he's from. And he put together 12 backing tracks for me. And if you go to the credits, you'll notice he's a writer on this song as well. Basically, I got him to put 12 backing tracks together, just 12 drum tracks together. Then I sent the drum tracks out to 3 different producers, and I said, right, go on, come up with a song over these drum tracks, and then we'll all hook up and put it together. And David was the only one who came back to me. I couldn't believe it. The other 2 guys, they just never got around to it. So... we did another song called Friday Shoes, which is on the same level, and but Panic Button sounded really amazing. So David plays guitar and bass. So we've got the drums from Gabor. David did the drums and the bass. Did the bass and the guitar. And we also did the backing track for a couple of other songs as well. And then I hooked up with a mate of mine called Joe Killington, he's only had about, 10 to 15 million plays on YouTube and the same on Spotify. So, typical struggling musician, not. But he's a really good mate of mine. And so I hooked up with him, brought David down as well. And Joe wrote the top line melody on it.
Yeah. So, David, I've got to ask, when did you realise that you were going to work with your dad? Because here in Australia, I'm actually in the minority. I grew up with a dad who was into heavy metal and rock, and that's where I kind of got my taste of music from. But for most Australian kids, they're not caught dead listening to their dad or mum's music. So when did you realise that you were going to work with your dad, and how did his musical taste mould yours?
Well, it all came to my style, really. I said, this is the sort of music I like. I can write the best, and we both totally agreed with it, really. And it was nice to. So I just had all these songs to really show, and but yeah, I grew up actually listening to a lot of soul as well, and a bit of R&B, and I can always remember it being, I can always appreciate it, and also listening to heavy classic rock like Led Zeppelin as well. We'd always play it out, but then my influences came down to grunge a lot, sort of thing, and then over the last decade, at the end of the decade, it came to all this sort of garage rock, raw type music that I saw was going around, and I really loved the sound of it, and so I've basically been basing all my songs on that sort of style and that sort of surfy garage rock style these days.
Yeah, David, go on.
Yeah, it was just as soon as I just accidentally heard these songs playing because I was looking for a change and sort of bored of what I was listening to, and as soon as I heard it, I've been hooked ever since, really.
Yeah.
Into that.
David, with Panic Button, you said before that it was a track that you'd been working on for a little while. Tell us a little bit about what that actual inspiration was behind it that made you write it. Like, how did you get that riff in the first place?
So that was a riff the riff on its own was something I had like sort of playing, and I always thought, oh, that would make a really great song if I had a chance to sort of make that into a full song. And as soon as we were playing it through the one of the drum tracks, I thought, you know what, I'm going to make it work around this sort of thing either way. And I didn't have a chorus for it, but on the day I just carried on. Literally, it's like the vibe just stayed the same since day one, really, when I had the main riff, and then that's where the whole song pretty much came down from too.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about T Jae Cole. How did you guys first come in contact with him, and how did you know that he was the perfect guy for Panic Button?
Well, basically, Joe Kiddington laid down a guide vocal on Panic Button, as he does with all the tracks, and he said to me when we first started working together, you know what, Andy, no one can vocal the tracks that I write as well as me, and I like a challenge. So I said, right, every track that you do with me, I'm going to make sure we're going to blow your vocals away. And it took me quite a while to find T Jae Cole. He came and did a choir backing vocal for me on a production I was doing with an act called One of Us. And he hooked up with this young lady, and they did an amazing choir, and very, very top quality, very, very expensive. And I noticed then he was a brilliant singer, and about a year later, I was looking for a vocalist for Panic Button, and I was trying everywhere. I did Facebook requests, I did all sorts of stuff, and then one night I was just lying in bed, and I just remembered T Jae Cole, and I thought, this guy would be the perfect guy to do it. And he's vocaled a couple of the rock tracks. See, he's done Friday Shoes as well. He's a top session singer. He's really, really established, but unknown, if you know what I mean. He's only established in the music scene. He's completely unknown outside the music industry.
Yeah. And I understand he can't be with us tonight because he's actually involved with the emergency situation with COVID-19 at the moment. Is that correct?
Yeah, TJ's got a choir. I know this is really goes against a little bit of the rock vein, but he's got a choir, and they're doing a lot of work for the NHS, and he's been full on racked out busy ever since this whole COVID thing has started. But I will add, David and I have written a second song. We've got loads of songs, but every now and then you get a special one, and Panic Button is definitely a special one. But we've got a follow-up called Feel My Pain, and I'm telling you, it is just as good. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that was another one.
Oh my God, we're so excited. So basically, sorry.
Yeah, this is another one. We were out hanging out at a lake one night, and I said, "I've got this song we need to release. It's gonna be fat. It's gonna be massive." And so yeah, we recorded it on the day, and this was a track like written from scratch, basically, with guide drums before we got the drummer and singer involved, kind of thing.
So what we did was we sent that track to Gabor. He learned it and he came down and he laid the drums down specifically for that track. So I know we've gone off piste a little bit, but just to summarise, in the next 3 weeks, OmniVibe's releasing 4 albums, and one of the album is a kind of Andy Whitmore, David Whitmore rock album. Awesome. And that's going to have Feel My Pain on, Panic Button, Friday Shoes, and a load of other songs ready to roll. The album's called Ready to Roll, and that's going to be very exciting. Well, it's going to be exciting for us. Let's hope it's exciting for you as well.
Yeah, definitely. And we can't wait to hear Feel My Pain as well. Where will our listeners actually be able to grab those albums if they want to go out and grab a copy of them?
Well, I'm setting up a stall outside my house, and they can come round. I'm going to do a big release on all the social media, so Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and it will be available on all platforms. And there literally will be all on Spotify. There'll just be 4 albums, OmniVibe, and there'll be 4 albums, and this album's going to be called Ready to Roll.
Definitely, and we'll put a link to that as well. For anyone out there who's listening to the podcast of our radio show, we'll put a link up there with the podcast, so you'll be able to check that out. Andy, David, I've got to ask, how have you been coping with lockdown? We're now in our 10th week of lockdown here. How have you been coping over there with the lockdown?
Well, we're pretty much cycling and, well, you know what? Actually, coming up with a new sound with my bass these days. Just trying to look for that crazy, that sort of one instrument, all tone sort of sound thing. My neighbours have got a really good idea about it, but yeah, and it's kind of been that sort of times really, and writing, recording really, as much as possible.
And on my point of view, I've spent nearly the whole lockdown period working on OmniVibe and doing nothing else, to be honest. And I'm a married man, and my wife's quite shocked at how busy I am, considering I haven't got any clients coming down.
Yeah.
David's the only person that I'm hooking up with, and that's he's basically we hooked up one evening and we had a bit too much to drink, and we kind of social distanced a bit too close. So as a result, I thought, well, we've taken the risk, and by this point I'd already done 6 weeks of lockdown working by myself in the studio, and after a while you start going a bit mad. So now me and David, we hook up like once a week, every Thursdays, and we've got so much work done. So yeah, it's been good because I've been able to focus on OmniVibe and really bring it to a conclusion, because I've not been taking on outside work so much. I'm doing about 1 outside job a week, and the rest of the time I've been, I can't work 5 days a week at the moment because I've got family commitments as well. But I suppose I'm doing 4 days a week and one day on paid work and 3 days on OmniVibe a week. So, and as I say, 2 weeks where everything's going to be completed with OmniVibe for this stage of the operation.
Awesome. Well, guys, we cannot wait to hear those albums. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. But I think on our show now, it's time to take another listen to Panic Button. So thank you so much for chatting to us tonight. And is there anything you'd like to say to the Australian listeners out there before we play the track again?
Well, I'd like to just say thank you very much, David Griffiths, for having us on. I'm really loving your Subculture entertainment show, and we're going to be continuing to listen to that. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. It's been great today.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. Stay safe, and hopefully we get to talk to you again in the future.
Love to come on.
Yeah.